by Crave Wrestling on Blog Talk Radio. Be sure to follow Crave Wrestling on Twitter at Crave Wrestling and join the Facebook fan page Crave Wrestling.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, everybody. We are live here on Christmas Day, Pancakes and Powerslams show. Of course, I am Chris Featherstone. Follow us on Twitter at Crave Wrestling and join the Facebook fan page Crave Wrestling. So, of course, this is going to be an abbreviated show, but I definitely, the streak must go on, ladies and gentlemen. 352 weeks and counting. Pancakes and Powerslams show. I hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas. Personally, I did. Just wonderful time spending with family and friends, and of course, never forgetting the reason for the season, Jesus. Definitely had a very celebratory Christmas Eve. Actually, spent some time with some friends, and was up till very, very late at night, in the wee hours in the morning, just talking stuff, just talking, just conversing about just life and faith and marriage. And it was really, really good stuff. A very good way of going into Christmas, and then a brunch over my sister-in-law's, and then some rest and some preparation for the show. Some watching of WWE, and here we are. So I really wish everybody had a really, really merry, awesome, joyeux, feliz Christmas. And I pray that it was as blessed as mine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so let's get right into it. We're going to do the P&P Year End Awards today. Of course, like I said, it's going to be an abbreviated show, just to be sure to not, spend too much of your Christmas day and Christmas, the rest of your Christmas. I'm going to have a interview that I recorded with superstar Bill Dundee. Of course, this is not a Q&A interview. I am live right now. For those who are watching me on Facebook on Thursday, I'm not live, but I'm giving you a shout out on Thursday on Facebook. For those who watch the Thursday Facebook, thank you. You are also a part of the P&P Nation. And I get really some really good hits there on Thursdays. So thank you for your support as well. If you are listening to this on Thursday, on Facebook, be sure to tweet at Crave Wrestling. Of course, right now I am live on Tuesdays, and we do some awesome interaction on the YouTube page. Of course, we do hashtag Ask Chris questions throughout the show. And if you are listening to this live on Tuesday, of course, Ask Chris is the hashtag to use throughout the show. And I'll do as many questions as I can today, live here on Tuesday night. If you're listening to this on Thursday, on Facebook, I call it the Attitude Era version, the taped, the Tuesday live taped version on Thursdays on Facebook. Also use hashtag Ask Chris, but unlike Tuesdays when I'm live on YouTube, the Thursday crowd for Facebook, you can actually tweet me at Chris Prolific. Tweet me hashtag Ask Chris questions, and anyone can do that throughout the week actually. So, but yeah, again, Ask Chris questions. I really wish everyone enjoyed this interview with superstar Bill Dundee. This is the second time I've had Dundee on the show. First time was, I've said this before. I love just road stories, interviews. I'm a big fan of just interviews of just awesome road stories. I mean, Bill Dundee's been in the business for 50 years, so it's always good talking to him both on air and off air because he has so much to share. So we're going to do an interview with Bill Dundee. It's about 18 or so minutes long, so just enjoy the interview. Of course, I'll be back on afterwards after the interview live here on Tuesday night, Christmas night, for all your Ask Chris questions. Just real simple Raw and SmackDown grades, and then I have a list of 7 year-end topics, and we're going to do it live, fans' choice style. We're going to do it like we did, like all the brackets, a good fans' choice P&P Year End Awards, and so it's going to be awesome. So as I actually as you are listening to the interview from Bill Dundee, I'll actually go ahead and write the categories on the chat on the chat. So I'll list the categories on the chat as you're listening to the Bill Dundee interview. So I'll be interacting with you all at that point. Again, here's the thing: Christmas night, having fun with you all. Please show your love back, like and comment on the video. I really appreciate all your support every single week on the Pancakes and Powerslams show. Show your love back by liking the video, liking my episodes, commenting on my episodes. I really appreciate all the likes and all the love. But comment, spread the love, spread the P&P Nation love. Let the people know about the Pancakes and Powerslams show. Also in 2018, actually, for the Pancakes and Powerslams show, we were actually, the P&P is actually voted number 20, oh goodness, what is it, 26, I believe, in the top 60 wrestling podcasts in the world. So that's huge. Number 20, I think 26, maybe 23, maybe 24, something like that. In the top 20, maybe 23, maybe 26. It was. I'll find that out, and I'll find that out specifically. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. Just the awesomeness of the Pancakes and Powerslams show. And I'll find that out for you in just a bit here, actually. And I'll probably put it in the chat. But let me see, get some comments before we get into the Superstar Bill Dundee interview. Already some Ask Chris questions. You guys are awesome. Malty said, glad you had a great Christmas. Chris agreed on the Jesus part. Of course. Absolutely. You know me, man. If anybody follows my social media, know that I'm a very Romans 1:16 guy. I'm 100% unashamed. Let's see. Okay. So I already have some category answers. Merry Christmas, Wild Boy. GHP as well. Multi's asking, any surprise entries for the Royal Rumble? I don't know that yet. I can find out. I can do some digging and see if anybody knows anybody, or if anybody is planning on being a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble, which is good. And that's really the fun thing about the Royal Rumble, the surprise entrance part, because it's usually like people know, who's going to win. And there's usually like only 2 or 3 or maybe 4 people who could win, who are slated to win, who has a chance of winning. So the surprise entrance is the fun part of that. Gabriel, Merry Christmas, man. What else we got? Yeah, glad to be back. Glad you're back, Wild Boy. Brandon's in the house. Man, yes. I really appreciate you all spending your the end part of your Christmas with me, man. That's fantastic. All right, so I'm looking at it right now. So according to FeedSpot, Pancakes and Powerslams show was ranked number 26. Yep. Number 26 in the top 60 best wrestling podcasts in the world. So that is a big deal, man. That is huge. So thank you so much for all your support, man. That is awesome. The Pancakes and Powerslams show I'm just super duper grateful for you all. And the fact that voted number 26 in the best wrestling podcast in the world, that's a big deal. And it takes support from you all to make that happen. So thank you so much. Of course, the Patreon just went over my head right now. The Patreon account. Come on, guys. I need your support, man. You know, I don't ask for much, as you all know. You know, it's so funny because I have a bachelor's degree in public relations, and I've been a promoter. I put together Christian rap events, and I've had a business, a successful business. I've been promoting for 15 years, almost 15 years. And as much as I'm really good in promoting other people and putting together really good shows, I do a terrible job promoting myself. Merry Christmas, Brandon. And yeah, I do a terrible job promoting myself. It's just people, you know, a lot of people say because I'm so modest and things like that, and people say I'm humble. Thank you for those people who say that, which is a lot of people I know. But man, I do a terrible job promoting myself. So 2018 was my goal to work on that, and maybe, possibly, hopefully, I did a little bit better on that. 2019, I'm making it a little bit more of an effort to really promote myself, especially the amount of time and effort that I put in putting these shows together. It doesn't just, you know, it doesn't just happen. All this stuff, all the graphics and all that stuff, you know, it doesn't just happen just because. It doesn't just fall all into place. I put a lot of work and time and effort in putting these shows together every single week. So I would hope that you would appreciate that by I hope that you would appreciate that by just sending some stuff on Patreon. You know, I have two tiers, one for $1 a month and the other one for $5.99. Starting in 2019, I'm going to still do the weekly interviews, but I'm only going to give like a free, you know, a free chunk of it, and then the rest of it is going to be for the Patreon members. So that's where your money's going for Patreon, and also going to be some live Ask Chris. Just you know, just randomly throughout the week, some live Ask Chris questions, some live Ask Chris Q&As, and also there's also going to be some live Q&A interviews and live streams with a few of my awesome, great wrestling, pro wrestling buddies as well. So you never know who's going to drop in the Patreon for the live Q&A. So just, you know, join the $5.99 tier. You'll be able to see who joins in. And we're going to have watch parties on there as well for the Patreon. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a very, very fun tier. It's going to, you know, you're going to get your money's worth. I've got a bunch of ideas of what to do with that tier. Some really, really fun stuff. Some awesome watch parties and interviews and live Q&As, some blogs for myself, some exclusive information that I get, any type of exclusive information that I get, I'll drop it on there as a story. So we really, you know, I appreciate you all. 2018 has been the best year of the P&P Nation, the Pancakes and Powerslams show, hands down. Best year of the Pancakes and Powerslams show. It'll be 7 years coming up this April, and you all, the P&P Nation, really, really catapulted, launched. Just this year for the Pancakes and Powerslams show has been absolutely fantastic. So I really, really appreciate you all. Slamcade, yes. Special shout out to GHP for actually putting together an arena and he emceed it. Man, he sent me. If you have a link, GHP, I actually dropped that on the chat. We usually don't do links for chats, but links on the chat. But if you do have that, please share that because that was awesome. He did an arena, a Slamcade arena. He did an announcement. He was the announcer as well. He did a fantastic job. So, alrighty, what's up, Nathan? Welcome to the chat. Everybody, welcome Nathan. He's new as far as I know. Timothy, also welcome Timothy. He's also new on the chat. Follow at Chris Prolific. There's something else. There's an Ask Chris question that was really good. So I want to address it. I think Multi asked it. Yes. Okay. So Multi asked about the surprise entrance for the Royal Rumble, and then, man, God bless you, Multi. What's your book it, Chris, to win the Royal Rumble? I appreciate it. Wild Boy, Bianca Belair appears in the Women's Royal Rumble. I can see that. Merry Christmas, Jesus. Yeah, I can see that, man. I think I'm a big fan of Bianca Belair. She's probably my favorite. Women's wrestler in NXT. Actually, I'm on my own against the world. Probably one of my favorite theme songs on NXT as well. Undisputed Era is still hands down number one, my favorite theme song in all of WWE, actually. Not necessarily hands down. It's hands down number one in NXT, but not necessarily hands down in WWE, because Drew McIntyre's theme, I've said this before when we did our bracket, Drew McIntyre is a close second for me as far as my favorite theme songs. GSP's asking, Ask Chris, do you feel like Vince McMahon is trying too hard? I think Vince McMahon is he's the thing. It's his company, no matter what. No matter how many people you're putting in place, how many people you're grooming. It doesn't matter how much you're grooming Triple H. At the end of the day, it all falls on Vince McMahon. It all falls on Vincent Kennedy McMahon. So if he sees historically low ratings, he's not, I'm sure, he's for being the very shrewd but successful businessman that he is, he's going to realize that all falls on him. No matter how many people you put in place, he's the guy. He's the guy that it all falls on. So as a result, he's going to make the initiative to make more effort and to be a part of it. So him being on television, I'm not a big fan of, because I think that it takes away the mystique of Vince McMahon appearances. It's going to be okay for the first couple of weeks to say, okay, Vince McMahon, we're seeing more of Vince McMahon. It's needed that Vince McMahon brings that extra layer, the extra layer of importance to WWE product. But if we see too much of Vince McMahon, it'll lose its luster. And so I don't necessarily know. We'll talk about SmackDown very briefly and Raw very briefly. I don't necessarily know the point of the AJ Styles thing. I don't know what it was about. We'll try to dissect it after the interview. But I don't know. I guess he's really putting some stock in AJ Styles. He did. He had the title for 371 days. So we'll see. All right. So before we go to the Bill Dundee interview, GSP, thanks, man. It says last week's interview was my favorite by far, bro. I appreciate it, man. I've listened to that interview. I've listened to Black Bart's promo at least a dozen times, probably even 24 times. And my son, I have 3 kids. I have a 6-year-old, a almost 4-year-old, it'll be 4 in a month, and a 1-year-old, almost 13 months. And I play it. I have a ability to play. In my truck, I can, hook it up to the auxiliary and play by Bluetooth. And I play it off my phone. I play it on my phone, man. And it's just my 6-year-old, my almost 4-year-old. He cracks up. But my 6-year-old absolutely loves the promo as much as I do. He ain't a dadgum thing you can do about it. He does, like, that's his thing now. And he loves the promo as much as I do. He cracks up, like hysterically cracks up every time he listens to it. And I had a really good conversation actually last Wednesday morning. I was leaving the gym, and last Wednesday morning I had a really, really good conversation with Black Bart. We talked for a long time, actually. He was actually giving me some really, really good stories that I can't really share here on the show. But he was talking about some things. I will share one because he said he did make it public as far as just thoughts of him being the Undertaker, the original Undertaker. That was public. So, but he put Calloway. He put him over like crazy. He had so many good things to say about the Undertaker because he competed with the Undertaker in Texas, and he put the Undertaker over a whole lot, and there was some people who I won't share that he didn't put over at all, but he put over Undertaker a lot as far as just his willingness to learn, his willingness to really listen, and just really soak up, some good advice from the business. And so he had a lot of good things to say about him. Some other people, he shared some really interesting stories with me about drugs and around that time, which I won't go too much into, but some really good stuff, man. So I'm gonna, he availed himself a lot, man. And he was like, "Yeah, just call me whenever." And I said, "Man, listen, I'll probably call you. I'll probably talk to you like once a week, maybe, if it's in my schedule, just to soak up some good road stories." Because that's exactly what I did the day after the show, man. He had some really interesting road stories to share with me that was really cool. So I enjoyed it as well, GHP. Jesus is asking, think Lacey Evans getting the call up to the main roster is too early? Yes, I've said this before. I think it's too early. She's just really grooming herself and getting, to be a part of the NXT fold, really starting to get a push. I think it's too early. She has the look, but the thing is like, what's different from Lacey Evans that we don't see in like a Mandy Rose or a Lana? So not a big fan. My video froze up. It says, let me fix that. Let me fix that real quick. It shouldn't be long at all to get that fixed. Now that should be working. We're live, pal. Are we good? Let me know. Should be good. Should be all good and rolling now. Thank you for that. Cough. Video froze. Cough. Yep. Cool. Yep. That interview was electrifying, GHP says. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. All right, so I think that's all right. One more extra question. JSP's asking, right? That slap AJ gave Vince feels like he was trying too hard, but I'll let it build up. We can't forget that he's the guy that created the Undertaker. Let's wait and see. Yep, fair assessment. We'll see. We'll see what it means. I hope it doesn't mean another heel turn from AJ. Yeah, I hope it doesn't mean that. Because his heel turn was okay, but it wasn't very good because he was getting cheered so much. and I always say this: if you're a heel and getting cheered a lot, that's not being an effective heel. That's not really being a very good heel. So you gotta do it. We'll talk about it after the video. All right, again, interview is about 18 minutes long. And during those 18 minutes, I'll, make your comments about Bill Dundee. I agree, Multi. He turned heel too soon. I agree with that. So make your comments about the interview as the interview is going on. Like I said, the volume for Dundee is a bit low, so I definitely apologize for that. I spend a lot editing my interviews typically, but this one for Dundee came up a bit too low. So, but still, I still want to give it to you for this week. Comments, whatever comments you have about Dundee. Again, this is a recorded interview, so there's no live Q&A. But after the interview, I'll be back on the other side, so we can get the Raw and SmackDown talk, and then we can do the P&P Year End Awards, which is going to be very, very fun. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me bring let's do this. Bill Dundee, enjoy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Christmas Day version of the Pancakes and Powerslams show. We get to enjoy the last moments of Christmas Day with each other. This is fun. This is exciting. And this person has been on the show before, and I'm going to bring him back on to talk about someone who just recently passed away. Definitely, send our prayers to the family. And we're going to talk to Superstar Bill Dundee back on the show again. How are you today? I'm doing fantastic. I really appreciate you being on the show again tonight. That's right, man. You did say that before, and I appreciate it. So let's unfortunately, we got news recently that Larry the Accent passed away at the age of 82. Of course, a huge AWA star, and worked some NWA territories as well, specifically the Pacific Northwest, teaming up with Harley Race in the AWA, his son Kurt in the Pacific Northwest. You actually had some time working with them in the Australia territory for just a moment. Let the listeners know your small interaction that you have with Larry.
In Australia, we were just doing jobs. So, I mean, when you say I worked with him in Australia, match man went 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. With all the Australian boys, worked with American guys to get him over. And racing, many came because of his tag team. So I did a job for him. When you say work, you don't get nothing, you just get your hands.
Yeah, well, the thing is, now this was in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So this now you said Jim Barnett was the NWA. Was an Australian territory in the NWA, or did the NWA just expand to have Australian dates?
Oh, he promoted it. It was NWA. I mean, Australia didn't really know Barnett actually brought it. That was big time then. On the level, whatever was in the NWA, but we didn't really know what that was.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, makes sense. So you were an enhancement talent for Race, and who were you teaming with?
Me and George Barnes started. So I think the word enhancement. I mean, we were enhancement talent, yeah.
Yes.
every TV day, so.
Yeah.
Well, that paid you good, so. And that's how I met Holly Race and I'm not sure you, but we weren't on the same level as they were big stars and big boys. I was a little bitty fella doing jobs.
Well, not yet. You end up being quite the big name in your day, and being a huge tag star. What year was it? What year was it that you started to get get noticed?
Well, in Australia, the jobs to 75 when George Barnes came to the States. Mm-hmm. That's really when it took off. Being pushed as a main eventer, 1975.
Mm-hmm. And what were the territories in the States? What were your territories that you reached the most?
Well, most of the South. I mean,
Memphis.
South for Bill Watts. I booked for him for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That 2 years was the most money he made in 2 years. He said at the place. But I had to have a talent. Ricky Mark, Robert Gibson, Buddy Landale, Terry Taylor, Bill Dundee. I saw Jim Duggan. So we had the hell of a crew of guys. So it wasn't hard writing their names down and making it work.
Yeah. I mean, Mid-South was awesome. Mid-South was. I was a kid when Mid-South started to we started to see the tail end of Mid-South around like 82, 83, 84, was it 82, 83 was kind of like the tail end of Mid-South, wasn't it?
When Ricky and Robert got over down there, they were like movie stars walking down the street.
Yeah.
Working with young, good-looking guys and watching all these boxers like Bill Watts, the big guy. So, so he brought some big guys like Jim Duggan.
Junkyard Dog. Yeah, sure was, absolutely. Yeah, and Watts sold that to Crockett, right? And started to do the UWF. Yeah. What you remember? What year he sold that? Was it like 87, 86 maybe?
Something like that.
Yeah. And then where'd you go after that? I know that you had a small stint in WCW for a little bit.
Yeah, I managed Buddy Landale for a little while. Me and Buddy was tag teams then.
Yeah.
I always liked Memphis. So the South liked smaller guys, and I was one of the smallest at that time. Probably between 7 and 215 pounds. So
yeah.
You didn't come much smaller.
Yeah. Now I wasn't working with Larry when you did the job for him. Was he good to work with?
Whatever he wanted to do, they did. I mean, that Bob was like that.
No.
You didn't get to make no aggressive moves or no. You just had to get the man over. That's what we did.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you thank you? I mean, like, how does that work? Yeah.
Next week you have to come back and do it again.
Yeah. I mean, I really watched wrestling in the 80s, and I remember the enhancement talent. They would just be ragdolls out there. But I'm just curious to know, like, when the top level guys, the people who are going over, they just kind of, brush you off by the wayside, or do they actually say, thanks, kid, for making me look good?
If you could work, they would actually give you a match. It wouldn't go long, 5 to 6 minutes maybe. But if you could work, they would want you to work. They didn't squash you and just beat you up. I mean, you were there to get them over, and we knew that. They knew that, so that's what was getting paid for. So
yeah. Yeah. Now, did you interact with Larry backstage at all?
No, actually, no. And him and Harley were big old boys as far as walking around. We would go to the gym to work they were a different level. So
yeah.
No, you would say, hello, how are you, blah, blah, blah. Take the talk, but
was he cordial?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard some very positive things about him as far as just being a nice guy overall.
Anybody, he could come in a bad mood. We did TV on Sunday morning. In Australia, they did festival hall set, and they would go out and do whatever they did. Sometimes they end up doing Sunday morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we all could say that. There's that bad day that we didn't get a lot of sleep, and we're hungry, and it's just not good to be around sometimes.
Or Memphis, and he drives 100 miles from Mississippi into Memphis. Goes to bar, get no sleep, and do TV Saturday morning.
Wow. Yeah, that's some dedication right now. That's some dedication. How do you? Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing. I mean, you've been in the business, over 50 years now, and you made pennies on the dollar, decades ago.
the traveling schedule is a lot. There's still a lot of driving and traveling when it comes to, today's wrestlers. What message would you give to today's kind of WWE superstars, Impact Wrestling, ROH? What message would you give the wrestlers today to really appreciate the people who paved the way over the past decades for them to have, easier schedules and more money?
I don't really know what the schedule is here, but working for Bill Watts was the hardest place I ever worked, because that Louisiana therapy was hard. You went from Oklahoma City all the way down to Thibodaux, Louisiana, and all the towns in between. There's a lot of wrestling in between Oklahoma City and Thibodaux, Louisiana, and you drove.
Well,
you're in a car.
Now in the Mid-South, when you booked there, what was the salary looking like as far as the top names and the mid-carders?
When Barry Jett told Bill Watts to talk to me about being the booker, they came up to switch talent. Bill Steps was on his backside and was doing too, and he came up to talk to Jared to switch just some talent. So Jared said to him, go over there and talk to the little guy there. Ask him if he wants to be your booker. So, kind of looked at me because it's 5'7", 210 pounds, and he used the JYD and Jim Duggan, them big boys. So anyway, he came over and said that. He said, Jared said, you may want to be the booker. Well, yeah. Obviously, you work on a week below $2,000. How much? And $2,000. And this was 1984 or 85, whatever it was. I said, $3,000 a week. He said, yes, sir. Well, by God, he paid that, but you have to. Like what I'm saying. Oklahoma City down to Thibodaux, Louisiana. That is a long way in the car.
Yeah, sure is. I'd imagine. Now, was Dog and DiBiase and Duggan, were they making the higher end around that too? Yeah.
They were the stars.
So they were making above $3? Yeah, because you bring in the house. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Yep. You bring in the house earnings and kind of split it up that way, right? Oh yeah. Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. 30 years later, still a lot of money. So, yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So that's really interesting. $3,000 a week for a booker. That's pretty good. Still, in the mid 80s. That's still a pretty good amount. That's.
You're out there 7 days a week. And you got 30 guys to look after. And TV every Wednesday. It's a lot harder than guys thought it was.
Oh, yeah, sure.
To wrestle, too.
Yeah.
You can't wrestle these days. We're not going to give it a shot. So I wrestle.
Wow. Now Watts, he kind of set a really cool, precedence as far as making an African American a top babyface, with Junkyard Dog. Did he get any flack for that, or was mostly people welcoming about that?
Back in them days, it wasn't. I know this will come out wrong, but it'll just have to come out wrong. But back in the good old days, most race had one African American. They pushed them. They didn't have 10 black guys, they had one. So JY was like, use them. No, but when you have 20 white guys on the card, you're the only black guy, you're different.
That's true, yeah. That's true. Yeah, people like JYD, Thunderbolt Patterson, was another one too, yeah. Yeah. So, that's an interesting point, him being, a novelty. Him standing out, among the and it's cool that he pushed him as a babyface too, because that really helped his career as being one of the biggest baby faces of all time. He was huge. Even when he went to WWE, he was, a huge baby face.
There's French people there, Canadian press. There's all kinds of nationalities who live in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you was, a lot of black people live in Louisiana, and they would come to the wrestling match, the DJYD.
That's true. Yeah. So he was a good marketing tool as well. He made good money. Yeah, he made good money for being a black guy. How about that in the '80s? in the mid '80s. Yeah.
Was a hell of a guy.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean, you know why he changed his name. Junkyard Dog Sylvester Ritter. That was exactly a name that you would think was a big tough guy, right?
Yeah. Well,
he was a good guy. He could talk. That was the main thing back then.
Mm-hmm.
All right to wrestle, but you have to be able to talk.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was. Yeah, that's right. And that's a really good point as far as just the art of the promo and how important it was. I've talked about this in a lot of conversations. Just the art of the promo and how important it was to really draw people in. The people like Mid South and Continental and NWA. The promo would draw people to the next town. And I think that's important.
That's what the wrestling business was built on back in the 50s.
Yeah.
When he came to Australia, we had on the local club scene, we wrestled, and there was no promo, so we never saw people standing on a TV show doing a 10-minute promo talking about a match coming up next Monday or Saturday or whatever day it was. So that was how you drew money in the good old days.
Yeah.
Was the talking.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Why do you think it's not as big of an importance or impact or priority nowadays?
The guys doing it, they don't mind telling you to what. Mm-hmm. They don't mind talking like show visiting. It was real to me. When I was convincing the guy in the front row,
yeah, that's a good point.
So, we looked at it differently.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, Bill, it's been a pleasure, man. It's always good to talk to you and go down memory lane and really get some good, traditional stories, man. I tell people this all the time. I grew up in the '80s. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to wrestling. And I love talking to people who really have their feet in the business for decades, and you're definitely one of those people. So I appreciate you talking about your thoughts on Larry and your time with him in Mid-South, and just your time as a booker, and just take a bit of a stroll for a little bit. So I appreciate you taking the time with me doing that tonight.
Well, pleasure, like I told you, anytime. I was there and lived it, so I got to know how it was back in I started in 1965 with Bob in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time ago. It feels like 100 years sometimes.
Well, 55 years ago. Yeah, that's a ways. So, thanks a lot, Bill. Appreciate you being on the show tonight.
Well, Chris, anytime you got my number, so anytime you like to talk to me, just call the number and I will be there.
Awesome. Have a good night.
All right, brother. You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to Bill Dundee for being on the show tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of the last, this is the last Pancakes and Powerslam show of the year, of 2018. So salute to Bill Dundee. Thank you for being on the show tonight. And we had a really good time, really good discussion. So with speaking of it being the last Pancakes and Power Slam show of the year, we got the P&P Awards, and before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about Raw and SmackDown before we wrap it up tonight with the P&P Awards. So thank you so much for joining us. Some awesome conversations here in the chat talking about 2K19 and NBA 2K, Madden. Good stuff. Okay, so let's talk about Raw. Let's talk about Raw, and you know what's so funny, man? Because I don't even know, with all the WWE pinging my stuff, I don't even know if I can do my daggone theme song for Raw and SmackDown anymore. So yeah. Also, here's the funny thing: I found out why WWE pinged my show last week, and this is the craziest thing. The reason why I got pinged last week was because of the minute part. Because remember we did the GWF review last week, and I was like, wait a minute, WWE. Why would I get pinged from WWE for the GWF stuff? Because that doesn't make sense. But I found out that when, remember last week, and they did it the week before too, when they showed the very just short clip of the USWA stuff, that's what I got pinged for from WWE. Because I guess evidently USWA, they have the USWA library. So, isn't that crazy? You got the, Wild Boy says Vince has eyes on you. And it was like an hour and something into the podcast, and it got pinged. So, the good news is, there's some, WWE's, the Pancakes and Power Slam show is getting noticed by the WWE. So, there you go. It's so funny because I've known some people who who compete for the WWE and used to, and they're like hawks, man. WWE's like hawks when it comes to that stuff. If you have a big enough base, they will ping you for copyright stuff. WWE will, and so. Obviously, the base is big enough for WWE to see it. But yeah, it was literally like a minute. The minute part of the USWA is out of the entire show, which was an hour and 50 minutes or something like that. The 1 minute part of the USWA that I showed between Lawler and Jarrett, out of the whole hour and 50 minutes, the 1 minute little clip out of the whole thing was what was pinged. So interesting stuff, but I guess that's a part of the process. That's what WWE does. Is I don't know. It's fair use, and I'm not getting paid to. I'm not getting paid off of from WWE's. I'm not getting paid by viewing WWE's stuff. So yeah. Interesting stuff. But, like I said, the positive, the good part of it is P&P Nation, the Pancakes and Power Slam show. Getting some traction, getting some notoriety here. But yeah, let's continue to have some fun. Some people saying they didn't watch Raw or SmackDown. It's funny because I did not watch Raw last night. I did watch Raw today. Actually, I watched it right before SmackDown. I didn't get into it until today. So it was decent. Okay, so here's my gripe on Bobby Lashley. Out of all this, I think Ronda Rousey and Natalya was a good match. Rollins and Corbin was, I think Rousey and Natalya should have been the main event. Slater, I don't know. I mean, it just seemed like he had his moment because I don't see the babyface thing anti-Baron Corbin. I don't see this going too far because right now, I mean, at least they didn't job him out because, he actually lost by disqualification because of interference. And then Rhino came back. Yeah, so I guess that was an angle. I mean, there was some reports that he was going to retire, but I guess that was an angle. I guess he's back because of Baron Corbin's, not there anymore. Real quick, John Cena. So, we weren't planning on doing headlines today, but John Cena, he was not scheduled. We report this on Wrestling Inc. Actually, he was not scheduled to have any televised matches, but they're promoting him for Raw and SmackDown. And from what I've heard, the reason why they're doing that is because of the declining ratings, because of the ratings being very, very frustrating and dissatisfactory to WWE. They're plugging him for TV. So there you go. There's a change of WWE stuff when it comes to John Cena being on TV, as opposed to saying in an interview that none of his appearances were televised. So of course it's not going to lead into an angle, which is interesting because he actually goes back off to in January 20th, which is before the Rumble, I believe. Because I believe the Rumble's like the 26th or the 27th. Somebody in the chat room, let me know when the Rumble is, actually. I think it's like the 22nd, maybe? Something around there? I'll find out. 27th. Thank you, GSP. 27th is the, thank you, boy. All right, so 27th is when the Rumble is. So he's leaving a week before the Rumble. So he won't be a part of the Rumble. He did, he did confirm that he will be a part of the of Mania. But yeah, he wasn't supposed to be a part of the televised events. But there you go. Honestly, storylines are the reasons why I turned off Raw and SmackDown and turned on my Xbox One and Xbox 360. Storylines are very flat. I agree with that. Wild Boy says desperate time calls for desperate measures. Yep, that's very true. Very true. But what's the difference that John Cena? What's the difference he's going to make by just making an appearance on Raw and SmackDown? Is it really going to boost some ratings? Maybe by a hair. But if speaking of storylines, there's not really going to be a storyline developed from Cena, right? If he's planning on just being a part of Raw and SmackDown, floating on both, and he's probably going to put together a couple of matches, maybe put somebody over, maybe have something weird like, I'm going to challenge Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship and go against Daniel Bryan on SmackDown. I can see that happening. I can see that happening. As far as the rest of Raw is concerned, Riot Squad attacking the baby faces, and Drew McIntyre. It was supposed to go to Bobby Lashley too. Drew McIntyre, man, what is WWE doing with Drew McIntyre? You had a foolproof 100% heel that was getting ridiculously pushed, was just a dominant, he was just a trail of dominance, the strongest heel that was on WWE, other than Brock Lesnar, of course, but as far as just full-time, Drew McIntyre was the guy. And you have the guy lose at the pay-per-view to Finn Balor, TLC. And then although he didn't get the pin this time, he still loses the triple threat match. And, no disrespect to Finn Balor, but this is the worst time trying to push and trying to salvage, damaged goods of Finn Balor at the expense of Drew McIntyre. This is the worst time to do that. I mean, if you want to push Finn Balor, you better feud him against somebody else. And it's funny because they don't have strong enough heels to really make Finn Balor a legitimate babyface again. And so the problem is they have him beat people like Drew McIntyre because Drew McIntyre is the only legitimate heel on Raw right now. I mean, of course, you have Baron Corbin, but Baron Corbin wasn't a strong enough name to really have that type of, because Baron Corbin loses. He loses and doesn't have a really strong, heel as far as dominance is concerned. You just messed that up with Finn Balor. You at the expense of Drew McIntyre, at the expense of your strongest heel, you try to salvage Finn Balor's babyface push. And they have a shortage of babyfaces too. So there's just a disconnect when it comes to the WWE product. Just really overall. SmackDown's not bad, actually. It's just with that Raw product, I don't get it, man. I really don't get what the issue is. There's such a disconnect. And Bobby Lashley, I mean, wow. I mean, the guy was doing very well in Impact, being the top guy there. Really showed a lot of his athletic ability. It was a decent time in Impact when he was champ. His feuds with EC3, his feuds with Drew McIntyre or Drew Galloway at the time. He really has some decent feuds, feuding with Bobby Roode at the time as well. So, I mean, he really put together some really solid matches. Now it's like, man, they have no clue what to do with Bobby Lashley. And the very fact that you can have someone who's one of the biggest physically dominant looking people on the entire roster, you have him in such a terrible angle, a terrible spot. And man, if I was Bobby Lashley, I would be absolutely frustrated at my direction in the WWE. It's bad, man. It's just really bad. The Leo Rush thing this project is a failure. He lost against Elias at TLC, loses against Elias again, and Raw gets pinned by him. And it's like, this is terrible. Absolutely terrible. I'm trying to hold on the fact that I would love to see Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar at Mania, because that's only one of the only kind of larger than life feel matches between two people. But at the same time, it's Multi saying, to be fair, WWE doesn't know what to do with a lot of the talent. Yeah, but that still doesn't justify the fact that you have someone who was a shoe-in type of name for being a top guy and just looks like $1 million, looks like he can beat anybody in the backstage. He could have a Lesnar feel to him. I mean, he's an MMA background, legitimately could go toe-to-toe with Lesnar. He can have that feel to him. The only problem with that is that they're booking him to look like someone who was just a joke. They're booking Lashley to look like a joke. And that's the problem it's terrible, man. Yeah, Walking Armageddon. Yeah, I remember he was that was his name in Impact. And it's like they need to do some type of overhaul. And I'm holding on to this. My hope is that here's the thing. My hope is that he will say, I don't want, I'm tired of this alliance with Leo Rush. I'm tired of it. I don't want it. I don't want anything to do with it. And I'm leaving, Leo Rush just totally just takes him out and wins the Elimination Chamber and goes against Brock Lesnar. That's my hope. I think that WWE can really book that. They need to do it very soon, actually. But I definitely think that the WWE can have some saving grace with Bobby Lashley, when it comes to that. If he does it from the angle of, I'm tired of Leo Rush, like being with you has done nothing to my career. It's actually made it worse, and I think he can get some I think he can get some steam. I think he can get some babyface pops for that. And yeah, I'd imagine they wanted him with Leo Rush because he's not a very good talker. But you don't have to be a good talker. Just don't just go out there and beat people up. Fans enjoy that. they enjoy people just beating people up. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Aaron, you think a pipe bomb will work? You think a pipe bomb from Bobby Lashley will work, though? Because Punk was such a good promo guy that the pipe bomb worked for him. For Lashley, I think it'll come out as a very cheap counterfeit when it comes to that. I do think that doing it from the angle of Leo Rush, you've done nothing for me, for my career, and just taking him out that way, I think that will work. All right, for SmackDown, yeah, I mean, and another person, Andrade, Cien, Almas. Yeah, probably from last week would be cringe. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's another person, man. Yeah, Aaron says, yeah, you're right. I remembered his voice. Yeah, not a very good promo guy. Looks like $1 million is a monster in the ring. But got comments saying, I think Lashley is done. They've killed him already. I think there's some redeeming. I think there can be some redemption for Lashley. I think it helps that he's actually a heel now. And he's with someone. Because the heat can all go on Leo Rush. That can really help Leo Rush, actually. It can really help Lashley. The fact that the heat can all go on Leo Rush. And I think Leo Rush has enough mic skills to really draw a lot of heat to make Lashley, a credible babyface by saying, listen, I don't want to be a part of this, guy anymore. So, I don't want to be a part of this group anymore. That can put all the heat on Leo Rush, and I think that would help. Someone else who seemed like they're very frustrated is Andrade Cien Almas. Man, as skilled as this guy is, to be honest with you, I think that this was another premature call up. I don't know, man. Being with Zelina Vega really helped him. But there was still an intangible. There was still something that just didn't connect with me with Almas. Dude can go in the ring. Man, I love watching him in the ring. I remember watching him as La Sombra in New Japan. Dude can go. Fantastic in the ring. But I don't know. There's just a disconnect. There's just something that just... it's not there for me when it comes to Almas. Now, him being in NXT helped because of that crowd is very kind of ROH-like. And so it helped him as far as his athletic abilities there. But WWE in the main stage is more character-driven. It's more of a larger-than-life type of feel. They've not done a very good job creating those characters, but at the same time, that's still the expectation when it comes to the characters, the feel, the marquee, that feel. So that's the expectation. People like Almas and, as GSP is saying, Apollo Crews, Cien Almas equals Apollo Crews. Yeah, very true. Cien Almas is the heel version of Apollo Crews. Simple as that, unfortunately. They're trying to do some stuff with Crews now, with the whole B-Team thing that we saw on Raw. But, yeah, it's sad because Almas and Crews... The funny thing is, Almas and Crews are two really good but grossly underrated talent. But at the same time, if those two people, if Almas and Crews were in NXT, they can main event a takeover and steal the show. Be one of the best matches of the year. If we saw Andrade Cien Almas as a heel versus Apollo Crews in NXT, it would have a much different feel than a main stage. 100%. They would absolutely tear the house down if we saw Apollo Crews versus Andrade Cien Almas main event a takeover. And they would be able to main event and take over because of their name, and they would be able to set it up right to make a really nice main event. But dare I say, we would never see that on the main roster for sure. Unfortunately, got a comment saying K-Mu is saying it's sad because I thought Crews and Almas were money ready to be drawn. See, I never saw that with them on the main roster. Unfortunately, Rob Boy is saying Almas's pop at the Rumble last year was nice. His pop was nice because he was an NXT guy. That's the thing. That's a big difference. I definitely want us to pay attention to that. He was getting the pop because of being in NXT. It was more of an NXT pop, and that was the distinction. If he came out, the crazy thing is he'll probably be in the Royal Rumble, and this year is going to be a whole lot different than his reaction last year, which is sad. This year, in a week's time it'll be last year, but it was an NXT pop. It wasn't necessarily an Almas pop. It was more of an Almas is an NXT guy pop. Almas versus Crews. I think that both of them should go back to NXT, especially Crews. I think that Almas and Crews in NXT would just tear the house down. I like the fact that Gallows and Anderson picked up the win. SmackDown was actually pretty decent overall. They're doing some stuff. Mahmood, what's up, man? Good to have you on the show tonight. Kay said, I don't even remember almost being in Rumble last year. Yeah, unfortunately. Merry Christmas to you as well. Yeah, I did see Tyler Breeze going back and challenging Ricochet. SmackDown was decent. The fact that the Gallows and Anderson got the win, I liked that. They're doing some more stuff with Mustafa Ali. Dude's got potential. Dude looks the part. He's great in the ring. Again, it's still, I'm a character guy, and I think that's what it's all about. Characters. I've said this before, and I've had this conversation with Matt Morgan before, actually. I think that characters should be, I think wrestling should be 70% of what happens outside of the ring and 30% of what happens inside of the ring. That is my equation. I've said this for years, and I'll stick with it. 70% should be the promos, the character, the emphasis of the character. I want to be sold in the match, in the feud, way before they even step foot in the ring. And that was the quality of wrestling that I grew and fell in love with. And I think that is one of the biggest things that is missing in professional wrestling, is that it's reversed now. It's like 70% of what happens in the ring and 30% of what happens outside the ring. And that's the reason why people are dropping away from WWE product, because people are because the emphasis is what's in the ring, and it should not be the case. I always say professional wrestling is a comic book come to life. There's no way that you can watch a Batman, a Superman, a Spider-Man movie and be intrigued with it if most of it is just fighting. That would be ridiculous. That would be oversaturation is what that would be. And when it comes to comic books, when it comes to movies, action films, anything like that, we're hooked into the arc, the story arc. We're hooked into the plot. We're hooked into the thickening of the plot. The fight is typically at the end of a movie, at the end of an angle, at the end of a story that's been built up, that's hooked us as listeners, as viewers, as watchers. It's hooked us way before we see any fight scene. And that's exactly what it should be with the WWE. And that's how it was. You should get me hooked way before the match, way before them stepping anywhere close to a ring. And that's exactly that's exactly the issue when it comes to WWE. When it comes to professional wrestling really as a whole, but specifically WWE, they're giving me the same matches, they're announcing matches, expecting me to say, "Whoa, I'm going to watch Raw for that match next week." No. That's the issue. People are saying, "I just don't care because it's the same match, and why would I be excited about someone saying, oh, okay, well, this match is next week. Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin is this match. Whoa, a steel cage match between Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. Whoa, I want to watch Raw again next week." Negative. Absolutely negative. That doesn't give people intrigue. It's an announcement. Hook me in before the match. That's what worked before, and the fact that it's reversed is the fact that it's not working out. 70% of what happens outside of the ring, 30% of what happens inside the ring. That is the formula for tried and true, effective professional wrestling, period. Let's address some of these questions. Wild Boy's asking, has Titus become an ambassador since he barely wrestled? Yeah, he's been an ambassador, for a while now. Which he does a fantastic job at that, by the way. Also asking, do you know if Vince had any talks with the Elite, or was it all Triple H? Typically, that's a Triple H thing. Right now, that's a Triple H thing, especially if the plan is to go to NXT, and I don't see them going straight to the main roster. I've said this before, AEW could be a red herring. I know that they're doing the trademarks now, and they're talking to the Khan family, and I get it. And like I said, I think AEW would just be it would be like a mixture between like a PWG and Impact Wrestling. Like, I can see some, it'll be good. I mean, it'll be successful for that indie crowd, but it won't be a strong competitor with WWE. I don't see it. I don't see it for anytime soon. But you have New Japan, you have ROH, you have Impact. I just don't know how smart it is to have a brand new promotion when you have all of these other promotions. I think ideally, if it was, there were some rumors that they rejected a 7-figure deal. Yikes! If that is true, that's tough. That's tough to digest, seeing how you're going to be spending a lot of money to get this promotion up and running. But on the other end, you got to give kudos to them for being bold enough to step out. If it is true, like I said, it could be a red herring of them appearing at NXT Phoenix, which would be super dope to me. I think ideally I would have Cody, Hangman Page, and the Young Bucks come in as baby faces and feud against the Undisputed Era. That would be pretty sweet to me. But yeah, if you do have AEW, we'll probably see a lot of people from Impact, a lot of people from MLW. So I mean, plus MLW is a really good promotion too. So yeah, I'm just not really sold on the fact of another indie style promotion. MLW's doing a really good job with getting that, with taking care of that right now. So, and then you have the bigger promotions like New Japan and Impact, and then you have Ring of Honor. So you're leaving a Ring of Honor contract to start your entire promotion that's probably going to be very similar to Ring of Honor. I don't see it. I don't see how that makes sense right now, honestly. Some other good really questions. Kay is saying, I agree with you, Chris. Russo's TV is my favorite. The Rock, Jericho, and Cena are my 3 favorite wrestlers, and it's all because of what they did outside the ring. I can dig that. You can definitely tell what Vince has been backstage. Vince has been backstage lately. The club has had complaints about getting TV time. Now they're getting some, which is good. Mamu said, exactly, it needs a story in every program, even Heroes. Absolutely. I agree with you, Chris. Promos are important. Yep. All facts, man. My earliest memories of wrestling are promos and segments, not matches. Yes. Hard Times. The best, to me, the best promo of all time. Dusty Rhodes is, I've said this very much. My top 3 of all time is number 1, Sting, number 2, Dusty Rhodes, number 3, Ricky Steamboat. Steamboat's, he has, he defied wrestling when it comes to not being the best promo guy, but being so good at what he does. I mean, he was such an amazing wrestler, one of the best wrestlers of all time, that he could tell stories in the ring. He could tell stories, and that was his promo. Steamboat's promo was telling stories in the ring, which was a rarity, which still should be a rarity. I think so many pro wrestlers are kind of hinging their popularity on telling stories in the ring. But if you have everybody trying to tell a story in the ring, then you're not different. There's nothing about you that looks or feels different. Steamboat had a different feel because he was a rarity. He became pop. He was such an amazing baby face, such a the family man type of baby face that told his stories in the ring when everybody else was cutting really scathing promos and villainous promos and all that. He was different. He looked different. He had a different feel. Now everybody looks like Ricky Steamboat, so there's nobody different, and so that's the reason why it's getting less interesting as far as as a whole. It doesn't have a feel to it as much anymore because everybody's like Ricky Steamboat, and Ricky Steamboat became popular because nobody was like Ricky Steamboat. I mean, Ric Flair could go in the ring, of course, but his promos were great. Steamboat told his stories in the ring, so that really helped him. Dusty and Sting, Sting wasn't necessarily a promo guy, but his character was just, his character jumped off the screen. And of course, Dusty, come on now. One of the best promo guys ever in professional wrestling history. My favorite promo of all time, Hard Times. Textile workers. They give him a watch, kick him in the butt, and said, "Hey, a computer took your place, Daddy." That's all times. Malty is saying, "This is why I hardly watch WWE." I agree. Just get radio on off my TV screen. I agree with you. NXT TakeOver Phoenix should be much exciting. Yep, I agree. Wild Boy says he really wants them in WWE. Yeah, one of the greatest matches of all time was Steamboat Savage. Absolutely. Yeah, good stuff, guys. Really good comments. All right, so let's get this flavor of the week, man. Let's get these P&P Awards. Really good conversation. I was expecting on cutting it off a little, actually a lot shorter than normal, but I love talking to y'all and having interaction with y'all. Yeah, It's almost going to be a normal show. But I really had it. It's awesome. Absolutely. Thanks, Wild Boy. Says, yes, I missed this. But yeah, I had an awesome time. And it really, 2018, man. Thank you, GSP. Tonight was very smooth. That's what he says. I really appreciate you all. I really do. 2018, just overall for me, 2018 was certainly one of the, or not the best year of my life. Just overall, mostly, faith related, spiritually, just, I've been in ministry for a while, and I have a master's degree in theological studies. This is actually my 20th year as a Christian, and just diving in and just soteriologically, theologically, those things just really have really changed the perspective on me on a lot of things. Just my love for people. Just my love for truth, just my love for my family, my family, my marriage, my kids, my 3 kids, my beautiful daughter turned 1 this year. My middle son turned 3, and my oldest turned 6 this year. One step closer to becoming a doctor. I'm actually about halfway through. Actually, maybe a little over halfway through. To becoming a doctor, I'm looking at graduating summertime, fall time to get my PhD. Yeah, so some good stuff, man. Some good stuff business wise. Some great stuff happening. So, yeah, man, I'm so blessed, and I'm so thankful, and I'm so thankful to interact with all of you all. Shout out to Christopher Daniels, and I'm not being redundant. Yeah, shout out to Malty, great show as usual. Shout out to Mahmood, you're very deep, Chris. You're a cool dude. Thank you very much. Awesome, Chris says Malty. Shout out to Wild Boy. All prayers and continued success to you. Thank you so much. Shout out to GHP. Salute to Chris. Awesome, man. Y'all are some fantastic. Such a fantastic addition to my life. All of you are who actually listens to the Pancakes and Powerslam show. And the funny thing is, man, I didn't even know that it had such a Columbus popularity base to it. Of course, everybody know, I'm proud Ohioan, Columbus, Ohio, born and bred, ladies and gentlemen. I'll jump to, I should be a sports entertainment psychologist. Very interesting. I'm actually a certified life coach. Again, hashtag ask Chris if you have any questions. I'm a certified life coach, and I'm about to become a doctor in psychology. My specialization is going to be forensic psychology. But I actually am doing some coaching to some wrestlers, and I want to really kind of launch that a little bit more in 2019. And that's how I wanted to do with my life coach certification, is do it from a pastoral standpoint and also to professional wrestlers. So, yeah, man, you're right, JSP. JSP says, Chris, I was expecting a 30-minute or so podcast, but the love for this kept us going. Amen, sir. Amen. Absolutely. K-Moo says, I really didn't know. I didn't know you were from the OH. I'm a Cincy guy personally. Oh, nice. OH. Yeah, Columbus, Ohio, man. Born and bred and proud member still. Yeah, so very, very Buckeye heavy here. Of course, Wild Boy, go Blue. We get y'all next year. You know, it's so funny. People, you know, those daggum. Shout out to Blackboard. Those daggum Michigan fans. You know, I got nothing but love for you, Wild Boy. But so a couple of my good friends are Michigan fans. The funny thing is, my brother and my aunt are both Michigan fans. So, yeah. But yeah, you know, the funny thing is, you keep saying we'll get y'all next year. Everybody thought that this year would be the year that Michigan, even me to an extent, everybody thought that this year was the dadgum Rutgers. Man, you know, this year was almost dadgum Maryland. We struggled against them, but everybody thought that this year would be the year that Michigan beat Ohio State. And everybody just thought that this was the year, and to an extent, I thought that Michigan was doing such a great job, and I'm an avid college football fan. I'm like just as big of a college football fan as I am a pro wrestling fan. I love college football. It's like one wrestling and then like one B college football. And watched a bunch of Michigan games. Y'all were just killing it. I was like, man, this may be the year. And then the Michigan offense, I mean, the very fact that we scored so much offense on Maryland, and then when we did a very good job defensively against Michigan State, and those two games together, I was like, you know what? I think we can do it. And then when Michigan was struggling a little bit against Indiana, I was like, you know what? We could do this. But I was not expecting 62-29. I was not expecting 62-29, ladies and gentlemen. And it was a sweet, sweet victory. And the interesting Wild Boy, Michigan has not beat Ohio State at home at the Shoe since 2000. It has been 18 years since Michigan has beat Ohio State at Ohio State. And since then, Michigan has beat Ohio State only twice. 7-0 with Urban Meyer, 9-1 with Jim Tressel. So, yep. Of course, Luke Fickle in 2011, but because of the Tressel stuff, it kind of got thrown in there. But yeah, that's 2 wins in 18 years. Yeah, so. There's all those Michigan fans that keep saying I'm going to do it next year. You've been saying that for a long time, and that's you probably should let it go. Watch Frozen again and let it go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the flavor of the week.
It is now time for the flavor of the week.
Gotta have faith. Kyler Murray is a fantastic quarterback. I think, that Dwayne. Someone's asking me a question when I think of Kyler Murray. He's going to baseball, so he's not even playing football. He's decided to start a baseball career. But Heisman Trophy winner, and I think Haskins should have won it. I think Dwayne Haskins should have been the Heisman, but I can understand why they gave it to Kyler Murray because Haskins had a much better throwing yards, passing touchdowns as a thrower, as a passing quarterback. Had much better stats than Kyler Murray, but he had as far as I remember, he had over 800 rushing yards. So I think that helped them. Just the total package. Yeah. All right. Cool. Sounds good. I do follow sports. This another question was asked to me. Big college football, and I am a huge college basketball fan too. I'm a Titans fan, which, you know, I follow NFL, but I only follow NFL. I follow NFL more when the Titans are actually doing decent. We're actually 9-6 this year. We got the Colts on Sunday, and it was supposed to be an afternoon, 1 o'clock game, I believe, and it actually got moved to a night game. So if we win, we're in. So go Titans, beat the Colts. If we win, we're in. So of course I follow NFL. Yeah, I'm watching it, Mahmood. You better believe it. I was like, that was asked if I was watching it. I am a huge college basketball fan. I love the Duke Blue Devils. Huge Duke fan. I've been a Duke fan since 1990. Celebrating my 28th year as a Duke fan. I started liking Duke when they were feuding against I'm such a wrestling guy. When they were competing and they had a rivalry with Michigan, of course, the Fab Five. When I started liking them, actually, they were going against. They had a rivalry with UNLV. When, you know, Stacey Augmon and Larry Johnson, when they were, you know, real big in UNLV at the time. The year I started liking them, they lost to UNLV, and then in 91 and 92 they won the championship, the NCAA championship, and been a huge Duke fan ever since. Like, huge Duke fan. Like wrestling, college basketball. Wrestling, college football, college basketball in that order. Those are my three favorites. And then huge Chicago Bulls fan. I'm not into NBA as much. I still follow it. I watch sports all the time. I'm not into it as much as far as NBA because the Bulls are just not good this year. We had to fire our coach. So unfortunately, I've been waiting for a long time for the Bulls to, have a dynasty again, but made it to the playoffs every now and then, but yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, losing a lot, yes. We are losing a lot, unfortunately. Magic fan, okay. Magic was, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, the Orlando Magic that was big when Shaq was there. All right, so let's go through these categories as we do the flavor of the week. So, simply put, I'm gonna read the category and just give me your answer, and the most popular answer is going to get the win. Simply put, ladies and gentlemen, going to get the win. So let's start off with let's do a trivia question. Let's do a trivia question, man. No, we got to have some trivia. You know what? I think I may have even said this trivia question before, and it was hard before, so maybe you remember this one. Steve Armstrong was known as what name in WWE? Steve Armstrong was known as what name in WWE? All right, so let's start off with the first category. So again, just this is fans' choice. This P&P Year End Awards edition is fans' choice. So whatever you decide, whatever the majority vote is what the P&P award going to go to. And I have a drum roll as well. So I'm gonna use my drum roll this time. So that's gonna be fun. All right, so let's start off with the first one, which is the most overrated. The most overrated. So that's the first category, the most overrated. All right, so let's see. Let's get some. Let's get some votes from the P&P Nation on who the most overrated talent is. I'll take like the first half a dozen. If I see a trend in the first half a dozen. So let me see. I see one answer here. Very interesting answer. The most overrated. So I'll give you some time. Yes. Wow, boy. Good job. Lance Cassidy. One more. What year did superstar Billy Graham win the WWE Championship? What year did superstar Billy Graham win the WWE Championship? I'll ask some hard repeat questions this time. All right, let's get some more. Nope. Not 73. Almost, Mahmood. Almost. Very close. Nope. The other way. There you go, Jump Tube. You get that one. 77. All right, so who is the most overrated superstar in WWE this year? Most overrated. Let's get some more. Let's get some more answers there. Most overrated. And this isn't just, let me clarify, this isn't just WWE actually. This is I suppose most of the answers would be WWE centric, but this isn't necessarily WWE exclusive to WWE. So, just in pro wrestling, who was the most overrated? Let's see what you got. I'll write it down. I'm getting so many different answers. If I get the same, all right. So if I get the same one that I see that's a repeat, I've got like 6 or so different answers. I haven't seen. Okay. Well, that's not a. Yeah, active wrestlers. Most overrated. Who we got? Who we got? And if you're watching this on Facebook as well, go ahead and drop it. Go ahead and drop yours on the comments as well if you're watching this on Facebook. Drop it on the comments. And I will see it, and I will also do that. Well, we keep saying I'm trying to find. We keep getting different answers. I've got almost 10. Almost 10 different answers now. So just give me a repeat. Come on, fans' choice. Okay, there's the repeat. There it is. After like 10 or so answers. There it is. The most overrated. No, I'm not. Multi. I think that's a great idea, actually. But my schedule is so busy that I cannot even promise you that to be able to do that. Add up Facebook and YouTube votes is what the request was, which was actually a pretty good request, but I'm so busy, man. That may not be able to happen. All right, so I think we got it. So The most overrated goes to Dolph Ziggler. He's here to show the world, ladies and gentlemen. Dolph Ziggler is the most overrated. Speaking of Rusev, I think it was cool that Rusev won the United States Championship. Hopefully they do something with him, because Nakamura as U.S. champ was very, very bad. All right, real quick, let's do this. Let's skim through this. Most underrated. And again, those who are, if I'll say this, this is what I will do. If I do see, let's do this. For those on Facebook, if you're on Facebook right now, of course, put in the comments. I'll skim through it. I probably won't have time to tally, but if I see something that's just like a glaring difference, I'll consider. So right now, Dolph Ziggler is the most overrated. And if there's something that's leaning way toward another person, I'll consider that, and I'll acknowledge it next week if I have the time. All right, so most underrated. Some good answers, actually. Okay, those were some good answers. Again, this one's split. I like it though. It's split. All right, so I'll go for a repeat or two. Okay, I dig that. I think I like that answer. So we'll go with that. I think we have a winner, ladies and gentlemen. The most underrated of 2018 goes to Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode is the most underrated, which I agree with that. I like that. Personally, to me, it would be Apollo Crews, but I think Bobby Roode's a really good vote. Great job on that. Best heel. Next category, best heel. Who was the best heel of 2018? The best heel of 2018. What we got? Again, if you're watching on Facebook, tweet at Chris Prolific with your answers. Or just drop the comments, drop it down in the comment section. And if I have time, I'll do a Facebook vote too. If I have the time, I'll do a Facebook vote. And then Facebook, if you're able to jump on YouTube next Tuesday live, what I can do, if I have the time, is to get the Facebook votes and the YouTube votes, and maybe do a tiebreaker on that on YouTube or something like that, if I have the time. Okay. Yeah, Cody counts. It's anybody in pro wrestling, but I'm seeing. Okay. I'm seeing one of the same answers so far. One of the same answer. So, I think. Okay. I see two of the same answer. Okay. Interesting. This is an interesting one. Okay. Yep. All right. Best heel. The best heel of 2018. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes. Very interesting. All right, next. Best babyface. Who is the best babyface of 2018? 2018. Again, if you're watching this on Facebook on Thursday, and if you're listening to this any time, during the show on Blog Talk Radio or Audio Boom. Anytime that you're listening to this before next week, tweet at Chris Prolific or at Crave Wrestling. Tweet your votes for this if you're listening to this on the audio. All right. Best babyface. Who is the best babyface? Okay. I think I agree with that choice, actually. I think that's a pretty good choice. All right. The best babyface goes to AJ Styles. All right. 3 more. Let's hurry up. Let's get these done in the next few minutes. Next one is the most shocking moment. Most shocking moment. I think this one's pretty clear cut, and to me, I agree. AJ Styles. Thank you, Mahmoud, for my Shinsuke Nakamura impersonation there. All right. So the most shocking moment. I think this is pretty clear cut to me, but of course, it's the fans' choice. I also agree with AJ Styles being the best babyface. Okay. Give me a couple more. So we got 2 more after this, so let's get through it. The most shocking moments of 2018. Let's do this. Who you got? Okay. Oh, okay. So these are all pretty good, but I'm seeing different ones. Okay. I do see a repeat, which I dig that. But those are some really good ones, though. Well, I do see a repeat. So I think I'm going to write that. All right. Yep. All right. So I'm seeing more of the same too. So. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the most shocking moment of the year goes to Nia Jax injuring Becky Lynch. My vote actually was the Roman Reigns leukemia. So now y'all are saying Roman Reigns leukemia. Too late. My vote was actually Roman Reigns leukemia. That was my vote. All right, 2 more real quick. Let's do this. Match of the year and wrestler of the year. Let's do it together. Match of the year. Wrestler of the year. All right, real quick. Match of the year, wrestler of the year. Okay. No, Brock AJ was last year. Brock Daniel Bryan was this year. That's a good one. These are really good ones, actually. Okay. All right, what we got? Quick. Okay. So we got a wrestler of the year. And we need a match of the year. Well, we already got Wrestler of the Year. We need Match of the Year. We need Match of the Year real quick. Okay, here it is. We got a Match of the Year, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Match of the Year goes
90
to.
seconds.
All right, drum roll for that. All right. Goes to the ladder match. NXT TakeOver NOLA for the North American Championship, which I was there. It was a great match, actually. I can agree with that. Wrestler of the Year goes to Kenny Omega,
60
which
seconds.
which I also can agree with, ladies and gentlemen. All right. I'm a big fan of Kenny and Okada at Dominion. That would have been my guess, my vote for Match of the Year. But ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. It was supposed to be abbreviated, but man, it was such a good conversation today. That's this is great. So the last Pancakes and Powerslams show of the year was a blast. Ended so amazingly. I had such a good time with everybody. So yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back next week. Same back time, same back channel. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen. Always enjoy your week of wrestling. God bless, and always remember, I'll do it for you. Have a good night. God bless. Bye bye.